grateful to Gayatri Ji for that beautiful invocation and all my colleagues here at the International Day of Yoga through the UN. So since we're talking about healing, I think yoga provides the ultimate healing that is the basis of every spiritual tradition, at the basis of every spiritual tradition. When you look at the different aspects of religious experience, three things stand out. First is finding your identity beyond the conditioned mind and beyond space and time as transcendent, timeless being. That's the first experience, religious experience, every religion. The second religious experience, which spontaneously emerges, is what in the West are called Platonic values: truth, goodness, beauty, harmony, love, compassion, joy, equanimity, empathy, peace. And the third component of that same religious experience is the loss of the fear of death, because one has returned to the whole mind from the fragmented mind. So if you follow the 8 limbs of yoga as originally propounded by the great sage Patanjali, the first 2, of course, are the yamas and niyamas, the principles of personal and social conduct, social and personal conduct. And the first of all of those, and the most relevant of all of those, is ahimsa, which is translated usually as non-violence. Kind of a negative definition, but if you look at Patanjali's original description, it is really peace consciousness beyond the turbulence of the conditioned mind. And Patanjali says, when we are firmly established in ahimsa, then all beings cease to feel hostility. All beings, all sentient beings cease to feel hostility through what we heard earlier, Gayatri saying, the elegance of presence. Not by what you do, not by what you say, not by how you think, but just your presence creates peace. That's ahimsa. And the great sages also say that if we were to follow only one of the yamas and niyamas in the age of darkness, the age of ignorance, the veil of Maya, then it would be ahimsa, and we would be all set. So that is the message that yoga gives us all the way back to Patanjali. But as we open the text of yoga, we also see that after the first sentence in the first chapter, the first verse, now begins the teaching of yoga. The next sentence immediately is Yog Chit Vritti Nirodh. Yoga is the quietening of the vrittis of consciousness that appear to us in the form of sensations, sense perceptions, feelings, emotions, and thoughts. This is everyday experience. All experience is just that. The experience of the mind, the experience of the body, the experience of what we call the physical world is vritti, the fluctuation of consciousness. But when these fluctuations quieten or subside, what's left is pure consciousness, which is our timeless being. And pure consciousness is beyond cause and effect, therefore beyond all karmic stories. It is timeless. It is infinite possibilities. It is also unpredictable because it's not an algorithm. And because it's unpredictable, it's infinitely creative. And it correlates pure consciousness, everything that's happening in the universe, as one activity. everything that's happening in the universe. That means all knowers, all modes of knowing, all things known are correlated. And these days, science is trying to address these unimaginable conundrums through words like quantum entanglement, qualia entanglement, meaning entanglement, the domain of acausal, non-local interrelatedness, where everything is in total harmony with everything else. So the issue comes when fragmented minds begin to compete with their karmic stories. And the issue can be easily resolved when yoga tells us, not intellectually, but experientially, that separation is not differentiation. Just like my body organs come from one cell, the stem cell or pluripotential cell, eyes, nose, immune system, stomach, heart, brain, all the organs, genitalia, hair follicles, skin come from one cell. So too, the entire universe comes from one being, but it manifests through infinite modes of knowing, infinite knowers, and infinite things known. And we are that beyond the conditioned mind. So as a medical doctor, I've been recently very impressed by some of the amazing science that is emerging in the Western world. And I could summarize it in two phrases. It's called the polyvagal theory, initially popularized through the University of Indiana scientists, but now very much a feature of mainstream understanding of healing or homeostasis or self-regulation. So the polyvagal theory simply says that while we in the West have focused on sympathetic overdrive, the cause of inflammation in the body, the cause of anxiety and fear in the mind, and ultimately all the things that go wrong in the separate mind, including guilt, shame, depression, anxiety, fear, hostility, and anger. Beyond the secret passages and the dark alleys and the ghost-filled attics of the conditioned mind is this field of wholeness, which is holy, which is sacred, and which is healed already. So the journey of the self is from the self to the self. It is a journey without distance. In the words of T.S. Eliot, who said, "We shall not cease from exploration, and the end of our exploring is to arrive where we started from and know the place for the first time." Immediately after the yamas and niyamas is the third aspect of yoga, which is yogasana. So most people think of yogasana as what they do when they go to a yoga studio, which it is. But asana also means the seat of awareness. So every yogasana is a particular seat of awareness that actually influences our mind to go beyond the conditioned mind to the source of all minds, including other sentient beings, cats and cows and camel, you know, those poses, happy baby and child pose and camel pose and cat cow and on. So you can see that every asana actually is a seat of awareness. And not only that, it stimulates a different part of the vagus nerve, the 10th cranial nerve, which is known as the healing nerve in the body, which counteracts sympathetic overdrive, decreases inflammation, decreases anxiety, depression, and gets us to the source through Chit Vritti Nirodh. Yoga asana is an aspect of that. And then immediately after that, we have pranayam, and there are hundreds of pranayams telling us very exactly how to use the breath and combine it with kriya, with attention, with intention, with drishti, and with awareness to bring about healing anywhere in the body, just through the breath. And as we move from pranayam, We go to interoceptive awareness, which these days is the fashionable word for how to be aware of what's happening inside your body, visceral awareness. And that is from pratyahara, withdrawal of the senses, and going inward once again, and having the ability to regulate our body organs, including viscera at the finest level, including the hollow organs of the body, the solid organs of the body, but also the various systems like endocrine system, immune system, cardiovascular system, and so on. And having prepared all this way, the 5 limbs, we come to the 3 most important limbs of yoga: dharana, focused attention; dhyan, the flow of samadhi, the flow of meditation; mantra or whatever object is being meditated upon; and the last limb, 8th limb, samadhi, transcendence, where there is holiness, wholeness, and healing, and the recognition that health is a return to the memory of wholeness. So the 8 limbs of yoga and the very precise order actually are aspects of the polyvagal theory. And when you look at different rituals in different traditions, posture, movement is part of prayer. Even, when you see the Muslim prayer, 5 prayers a day, you'll be reminded of yogasana. But every prayer has that element. Every prayer has vocalization and chanting and music, which is also the use of breath. And also every prayer uses breath, as it's called barak, or ruah, or spirit in every tradition. And every spiritual tradition also emphasizes Platonic values. And as we look now on the physiology of these various rituals, mantra, yantra, tantra, we discover the mechanics of not only physical healing, but emotional healing, and ultimately spiritual resonance with alignment of all the elements and forces in our body mind with the elements and forces of the universe. So there are beautiful Mahavakyas and beautiful phrases in Sanskrit which summarize all of this. Sat Chit Ananda, that our home is truth, pure awareness, and bliss. Bliss is the background of every vritti. Before the vritti, there is only bliss, and that is also a peace that passes understanding. Phrases like pursuit of happiness and peace of mind are actually oxymorons, because pursuit of happiness assumes that you're unhappy, when yoga says your fundamental state is joy and pure awareness and pure creativity. So peace of mind is an oxymoron. Peace is only beyond the mind, at the source of the mind, which is pure awareness. And similarly, the pursuit of happiness assumes that you're fundamentally unhappy, and these are inaccurate descriptions of reality. Peace, creativity, bliss, joy are who we are. We just happen to have forgotten it. And when we practice the rituals and the techniques of yoga, and all these amazing forms of yoga have still at their basis the same 8 progressive limbs of healing not only the body and not only the emotions, but returning us to the source where there is no fear of death, where we recognize ourselves as timeless beings, and pure love. Love in action, which is also called karma yoga. So love without action is irrelevant, and action without love is meaningless. When you have love in action, then the whole world will support you. And that is why today is such an important day, the International Day of Yoga Committee at the UN, because this is what this great, amazing group is about. The Brahma Kumaris and all the amazing teachers here of this great ancient science, which now needs to be resurrected so that we can move to a critical mass of peace, sustainability, social and economic justice, health, and joy. So I'm very grateful to be sharing these words for you with you. And I wish us all God bless onward to our journey without distance. God bless.